Hi viewers, welcome to the channel. Today we're looking at lofts, and this is the additive loft in the part design. We're going to be answering a couple of questions in there. One is about how to branch lofts off of other features, so we don't have to just use sketches in our loft. We can use feature-based part design actions, pockets, binders, etc. to create this loft. And this is what I've done here. This is a very rudimentary spoiler that I've created for this demonstration. This took minutes to create. The bulk of it is additive lofts, pulling in features from the actual model and lofting through. We're also going to be learning how to loft to a point. Now this is a question that's been asked on my channel before. How do you loft to a single point? So let's have a look at this, reveal these techniques and have fun with the lofts. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. So to understand the loft and how we use the loft, we're going to first create the basic loft through sketches in the part design using the additive loft. Now there's loft in the part that is more flexible, and we'll come to that later. What we normally do with a loft is we create a number of sketches. So we're in the part design, we've got a new document open, we're in FreeCAD, and we're going to create a new body and a new sketch. So this is going to be the origin of your loft. So XY plane or whatever plane you want. I'm going to go XY, okay, and I'm going to lay down my first shape. Now I'm going to use a number of shapes with a different edge count. So this has only got one edge, and we can see how they affect the loft as we move through those shapes. So that's my first shape. So we've got the circle. We're going to create a slot here. So we can do that either by creating another sketch in the body along the same plane, or I'm going to actually change the plane. So I'm going to go along the YZ plane. Actually, let's go along the XZ plane, this one here. I can select it from this side if I so desire. Hit OK. This is running from the middle, so we're going to be changing it along the Z axis of the sketch, so moving along the Z axis, because we've actually attached it to the axis. So attachment will come in here. So we look at our sketch, we've got the red, which is the X, the green, which is the Y. And we look at the placement over here, this axis cross. You can see the Z runs upwards. This is the axis of the scene. So the Z is running upwards, the Y is running across here. But this has been attached to a plane. So with sketches, the Z always runs normal to the sketch, so away from the sketch. So this is a sketch, the Z will be this way. So if I wanted to change this in this direction, we're going to be pushing it along the Z axis rather than the Y. You see the attachment is first in the data tab, and that's because it's been attached to that plane. So run this way. So we're doing a normal loft through a number of objects. I'm going to push it upwards as well, which was the Y axis. We're going to rotate it along the sketch X axis so it has some curvature. So we're going to loft through and curve through. So we'll come into the angle, come into the axis, and we make sure that X is set to 1. Don't want any along the Z. So full rotation along the X, and we can rotate using the angle like so. So we've got circle, slot. We need another one now. We can loft through these. We're going to need 3 for the demonstration that we're doing. So another one. And I'm going to place this one, I'll place it along the same axis actually, the X, Z axis. You can do all on one axis if you so desire. Play all on the XY axis and just move those and rotate those. But I'm just showing you that you can actually do it through the different planes as well. Let's hit OK. And we're going to add a square in here. You notice that the edge count differs. So we've got one edge count on the circle, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the slot, and also 4 on the rectangle or square. So this one here needs to be moved as well. So we're going to move that along the attachment, along the position, and along the Z. So this is the way we want to loft. We want to use this as our starting point and blend the loft through here. So to do the loft, make sure nothing's selected and select the Additive Loft. We're adding material, or up to part design, create an additive feature, and Additive Loft. There is subtractive lofting here, which we'll come to at a later date, which is very handy creating models. We need to select the starting sketch, so we can either click them from our scene or we can select them from the list here. I can select sketch, the very first one. Let's hit OK. So now we get another screen up which asks us to add sections. Quite a few people don't realize that we don't have to pick sketches in here. We can pick other objects as well, such as a shape binder. We'll come to that later. But for the time being, I'm going to add the first section and then add the last section. So we've gone all the way through here. You can see that we've curved all the way through here. If I hit ruled surface, you can see we've got a straighter connection between those. So this makes a straight connection rather than blending them. So I take this off, you get a blend through here. Let's hit OK. Now we've got our loft. If it looks a bit jagged, you can see that we've got these kind of jagged lines. This is just down to the view. So if we come into the view, click on the body, we've got this deviation here. We can set this down to something like 0.5 and that cleans up those lines. You can see those lines are cleaned up now. So that's all to do with that. So now we've got our loft. We notice that, well, if we just did a normal pad from the circle, so let's hide this loft and bring back the circular sketch and did a pad from this, so pad this, you can see that the pad has only got one face going all the way around here, around the side. And yes, you can do a pad by bringing back the sketch and adding to this. So you can do that. We can do the same for this one as well. So the end one, and pad that. You can see we've got that pad there. And we'll set it to reverse, going the other way. That is valid. You can actually do that. But I'm just showing it as a demonstration to see that we've got one face going along here, but let's get rid of that pad. You can see that we've now got from this loft, well, we've got 1, 2, 3. It's been split all the way around here. The reason why is that's just come into the loft and remove a section. So I want to keep this circle. I'm going to remove the rectangle here, and this I believe was sketch 2. So if I roll over it, you can see down the bottom left sketch 2. So remove section sketch 2. We can't select it from here, we have to actually come over and select it. There we go, and hit OK. Let's have a look what's happened. So we've got a number of faces going around here. If we look at the slot and bring back the slot sketch, that was the square. Let's get rid of that. This is the slot sketch and just hide the pad. We've got 1 edge, 2 edge, 3, 4, and also 4 vertices that connect those edges together. So what's happened if we bring back the circular sketch, we've only got 1 edge and 1 vertex. But that vertex, when it's lofted through, will attach to here because we make a hybrid between these. If I took this sketch and added, say, 2 arcs, then we get a different effect. So let's have a look at the Additive Loft. You can see those vertices. We've made a blend between those vertices. So there's 5 vertices altogether because this one was out of place. So let's play with this and see if we can just get 4 vertices going all the way around here. So this is, you can see it flashing there, that's the slot. Hide the additive and click on the sketch. Let's go in here. And what we'll do is, well, let's get rid of this sketch and add it by arcs. So we're going to use the arc and we're going to match the edges. So 1, got the auto constraints on, so I've auto constraint to that point there with coincident constraint. I don't want to actually do that, I want to actually bring the arc from this center point. So coincident constraint, auto constraints on, coincident constraint to the center, come out. And I'm not going to touch this line, I want to bring this around like so, hit escape and take these 2 points and make them coincident with each other like so. And we'll do the same on the other side as well. So another arc from here to, let's come out, say there, and come around and coincident to that point. And this one from here, coincident to that point, and come around and coincident to this point as well. Okay, so this should be a closed shape. You can see it's closed, it's moving. Let's hit close and bring back the Additive Loft. So now you can see what's happened. We've got matching faces. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. But our shape has been twisted because the vertices aren't lined with these vertices here. So if I moved one of these vertices over, let's come into our sketch and we can start looking. Let's get rid of that point on line constraint and looking at the sketch behind, which is the slot sketch. We can see that, well, we need this point over here a bit. Let's get rid of this point on line constraint and this one up here and this one kind of over here and this one kind of this way. Hit close and then we've got better matching surface. There's no twisting of those vertices there. Let's bring back in the other sketch so we can add sketches to it by double clicking it, and we add a section and we need to make sure that the other sketch, this one here, see, we can click on it and it gets it placed straight into the Additive Loft like so, and that's in there. What I was going to do is click on it and press the space bar. I didn't actually know you could do it from there. I didn't know you could actually click on this view and actually get it added in there. That actually really surprised me. That's going to save me a lot of time. So you're always learning. So if we click on the sketch, press the space bar, you can see that's been added in there. Now come over to task, hit OK. We've got a much cleaner model now because those vertices align and we've got the same amount of vertices on each of the shapes and the same amount of edges. So we have this nice shape. So one thing to remember is that we don't have to loft just sketches. We can loft faces as well. I'm going to add another sketch to this scene. So we've got the body, we add a sketch, and that's put it along the XZ plane there, this one here. Select it from here if we so desire. Hit OK. That's flipped us around this way. That's come down. And it's a shame we can't flip the sketch from here, but what we're going to do is close. Come to the sketch, come down to the map mode, flat face, map reverse, false. Let's set this to true. This will flip the sketch around, so when I double click on it, we can see we're there. I'm going to place a slot in here, so something like, it's a bit big, and we're going to move this as well. I'm just going to bring this down a bit. Let's move this down a bit, something like that. Hit close, and let's move that sketch. So this sketch, because it's been attached to the XZ plane, the Z will be normal to the sketch. So we're going to run in this way. So we're going to come into the attachment, see the attachments first, the position, come down to the Z, and we can move that by pressing page up, page down, or the arrow keys, or even using the middle mouse button. And I've moved that way. What I can then do is select the face of the Additive Loft, click Loft, and then add section, and click on the sketch. If I hit OK, it looks like it hasn't done anything, it disappears. Double click the Additive Loft, you can see that it actually worked. So we've got that in there, we can see it going through there. We can use the ruled surface if we so desire, if this had multiple. Ruled surface can only be applied if we have 3 or more items within our loft. If I hit OK on that, see what's happened? So we've gone from one additive loft to another additive loft. The same with pads. If I click on here and pad this surface, we've added a pad to that surface, and we can click on the pad, add sketches like so, hit close, we can pad that sketch, and then we can loft again from here. And we're going to go into that with a practical example in there. So for instance, if I wanted to create a spoiler for a car, so later on I'll create a very simple spoiler, or part of a simple spoiler, just quickly to show you how we can use that. Remember that also we've got these faces on the side here, which again, if I came this way, and we'll create a sketch along the YZ plane. Okay, that. And let's add a circle. I know it's not going to be the right amount of faces. Hit close. Z-axis, because normal to sketch along the Z-axis, and move that out. Add some rotation along the X. So axis, rotation, place a 1 on there, 0 on the Z, and angle that like so. Then when we create our loft to here, so loft, add section, this section, obviously it won't take straight away, hit OK, it'll disappear, double click on the loft, hit OK, and you can see we're now lofting out from the side. So we can keep going like from different sides from here and create our shape that we need for our application. Normally if you was lofting in the same direction with the same basically sequence, so if I went from here to here, I'm going in this direction, and I've lofted the face of this, then you wouldn't need to. All you would have to do is add that sketch back into the loft rather than going this way. We can also loft obviously from here as well. Now, one question that I was asked is, how do you loft to a single point? With the part workbench, you can add a point in there from the draft workbench if you're using the lofts through there. But in the part design, it's something different. Let's create a body. and create a new sketch on the XY plane. We're going to create a very simple boat in here. We're going to add a line. Spans across here. We've already gone into over constraints, and that's because we've got this horizontal constraint in here, which we'll just delete. Now we're going to add an arc, so we'll come over and drop this down to the endpoint and rim point. Click this point, click this point. So we've got coincident constraints across those, got the auto constraints on down here, and just drop this down. Be aware if you touch this, it will go one side of the arc, so just bring it down to wherever you want, like so. And we can alter this to change how we see this. I'm going to take this point and place it across this line with a point on line constraint there. So we've got this here. That's one arc. I'm going to copy this sketch, so I'm going to hit Control C. I'll get the object selection up. I'm going to uncheck the plane and hit OK. And I hit Control V 2 times and pull each of these sketches back into the body. So we've got copies of the sketches. Let's center the view and click on one sketch. Change the attachment. Now the Z plane will be normal to the sketch, so it's going to be the same as our scene. So using the position, the Z plane, and we'll set this to 100 so just see where it is. It's gone off the screen there. 30, and we'll set this one to 30 as well. 60 to get it up to that point. So now we can loft through this, but we want this to a point here. Now what we would do in the part workbench, let's hide that sketch, this one here, just press the space bar on that highlight. We would add a point, in this case I'm adding a datum point here. I'm going to hit OK, hit yes upon that because we don't attach to anything, and we'll change the placement position. And we'll stick the Z on 60 there, so it's there. We can't actually use that datum point. In the part workbench, this will just be a point from the draft workbench that we'll be adding in. If I try to use the loft and we add a section, this one here, which will be fine, add another section, this datum point, and hit OK, you'll see that loft sections need to have the same amount of inner wires as the base section, which datum point doesn't. We'll cancel out that and get rid of that datum point and bring back the original sketch. So we need to shrink this sketch down. This causes some interesting effects across the sketch if we use different shapes. So I'm just going to pull this in, going the wrong way there, so let's bring this right down so it's small, and come in and let's just delete that off that line there and just pull in the sides. So we're making this as small as possible, and we'll zoom in and just come right in. You can set the width of this line if you so desire by constraint, so let's click on that line and set the width of that. At the moment it's 0.15, so I can put 0.1. There we go. Hit close. We've got basically more or less a single point there. Such a low resolution that it won't matter. Now when we do our lofting, click the first sketch and do our lofting, add section, this section, add section, the point, this lofts to that point. And because we've used the same amount of edges, then we get a nice smooth loft through that. But what happens if we use a different shape? We've got a point to our boat shape there. Well, let's come into the last sketch, this last sketch here, and use the center view. Let's come in. I need to zoom right in. Let's just delete that from there. Let's add a square, a small square across there, and hit close. Now we've got some faces appearing. So remember, going back to our original loft, what we did before, it will be a hybrid between those two shapes. So we created a hybrid, therefore it's taken the 4 faces across this shape and blended it with the 2 faces of the half moon shape at the back. So we got 1, 2, 3 on the bottom, 4, 5 and 6. Let's change that for, let's say, a circle, which has only got 1 edge. I said faces before, but it should be edges. So this has got 1 edge, which is the meeting point of the vertex. So look at the sketch and zoom right in. You can see that this sketch here, what will happen is that there will be a vertex here from the start and end of this sketch. So that's what's happening there. If I put a hexagon in here, that's gone black, so it can't compute. Let's come out of that. Double click here and just highlight that and just hit delete. And that's place a hexagon. We'll be fine. I think it's just a small bug in FreeCAD view style here. Let's add the hexagon in. That's better. And hit close. We've got even more faces appearing. And you can see that hexagon is sitting there. And we can come in and just zoom right in and just make this as small as possible. Set in size. I've twisted that hexagon so the faces will all actually twisted as well. So we've got face here, etc. And all I need to do is basically zoom in and make sure that one's horizontal, hit close. That's better. We've got a nice even distribution of the faces along the bottom. So this face will be the same as this face because we use the horizontal constraint in there. This is pretty useful, as you can see, so we can actually section up the views like so. Compare this to a part loft. So that's highlight all of these, hit delete, come over to the part, and really I didn't want to delete that. Let's bring that back. Let's get rid of the additive loft, get rid of that last sketch and just bring back the 2 sketches there. What we can do with this, we can loft through these in the part, but we'll need an endpoint. So I can come over to the draft workbench, and in here we've got a point, this one here. Create a point on the object, click anywhere on the point. So let's place this point somewhere here. We're going to have to basically 0 off the X, 0 off the Y. Places it there, and we'll just increase the Z by 60. Places it there. We can use that point. We've still got the body in here, and that's bringing this sketch out of the body, this sketch out of the body, just dragging it onto the unnamed and delete that body. So this is what we should have started with, the 2 sketches and the point. And over in the part workbench, we can now take 1 sketch, 2nd sketch and the point in our loft. Don't need to select them first because what will happen if we click the loft, you'll place them along this left hand side. So select the back sketch, bring it over, select the next one, bring over, click the point, bring over, and we've got options here. So we're going to create a solid. We don't want it closed because that will loop back. Hit OK, and we've lofted to a single point there, like so. And it's nice and smooth all the way around. So you can see the benefits of one over the other depending on the application you want to use. Let's go back and look at some other applications for the part design loft. One thing to remember with loft is that we can actually loft from a sketch that's attached to a surface. So let's take this surface here. So click on it and add a sketch. I'll add the sketch to the surface. And then we can create a shape in here. I'm just going to add a single slot in here, like so. So we've got our slot added to there. And then if I hit close, I can then create another sketch. And what we're going to do is also attach that to this surface. And we'll create another sketch in here. So let's come back into the model, and we've got this sketch that's sitting here that we've added. What we're going to do is just hide the pad. So I'll reveal that sketch, and I'm going to place another slot that's just inside here. So something like this. So that's sitting just inside there. And just a little bit of adjustment. We'll come over to task and close. So now we've got two sketches. I'm just going to move the last sketch that we did, this one inside here. So you can see we've got the inner sketch and the outer sketch there. Click on the last one we did, the inner sketch, and come into the attachment, and we're going to place it along the position of Z, and we're going to move that upwards. So it's now floating above that sketch like so. If I click this sketch, the first one, the base sketch that's sitting there, and use the loft, we can add section and then click the other sketch. That'll create a loft between those two. Hit OK, and that is now all one object. So now we create a sketch and a loft from that sketch, attached it to that plane and lofted upwards by moving the last sketch along the Z-axis so it sits here. So remember that we don't have to just pad, we can loft as well from a single sketch. And the same if we wanted to add something to this side as well. So what I've done now is gone back into the part design, and we've started a new document. We're going to look at a very rudimentary spoiler in there to show you how to use that lofting and branching off certain faces. We're going to be using other geometry in there, and as well as lofting shape binders. So we've got our scene open, new document, new body, new sketch, and we're going to go across the XZ plane here. Select it from this side, be easier. So let's do basically one side here, and we're going to create a triangle like so. Not worried about constraints. Click to select and delete. So we've got this triangle here. You use a fillet across these two just to fillet this off a bit. Across here, and across these two. Hit close. We've got that there. Let's center our view and pad that. Not worried about constraints or sizing, so 5mm, that'll do. Click on the face, add a new sketch. We're going to create a pocket in here. Obviously we're not too worried about scientific downforce or anything like that, so this probably won't be a proper aerodynamic profile. Well, it's not going to be an aerodynamic profile. I'm just going to delete that and bring this slot up to about there. Let's add another slot in as well. So let's click the slot, bring the slot down. So zoom in. What we're going to do is remove this circular part and this circular part, and we'll need to remove the vertical constraint and bring these points together. Make those coincident, and same with these points, make that coincident. And we need to do some filleting. Create a fillet between here, just curve that off. Just adds an arc in, basically. The fillet just adds an arc in, which means that you can make these two arcs equal, like so. So we've got this shape here, and we can just adjust this slightly to however we see fit. Something like that. hit close. I'm going to pocket this. Yeah, I'll go for a pocket in here. Don't go all the way through, so we go for something like 2 mil, like so. Okay. Now, let's do a loft. What I want to do is use this same profile and loft the way through here. But I've used the sketch to create the profile and pocket it in here. So what we can do is click on the pocket, use this green shape binder, or come out to part design, create a subshape binder. I'll create a subshape binder in there. So behind that pocket, you can see that there. What I'm going to do is transform that out. So using the placement, position, and looking where it sits. Let's transform it along the Y. Bringing that out, like so. Might be a bit too far. Let's bring out 50 mil. Minus 50 mil there. And let's also bring this. Should go down or up? Down and to the side, like so. So that's there. So we've got that shape binder there. And we can copy this if we so desire. So take a Control-Z and, well, we need to get rid of all these. So unclick that. So if, come back, Control-C or duplicate. So edit, duplicate selected objects. You see they're all checked. If I uncheck one of these, you get these boxes. Just click the box, unclick the box, and the box will appear on the binder and hit OK. So we've made 2 binders now, and I can transform out this binder as well, and we'll transform it along the Y, like so. What's happening is it's curving around here. What we can do now is we'll basically use this face, click on that face there, go to part design, create an additive feature, and we're going to do the additive loft. And instead of selecting sketches, well, we'll add shape binders. Binder 1, binder 2, or binder 001. Hit OK. Disappears, double click the additive loft, hit OK again, and it's created that going around there, like so. Let's place some kind of attachment on the bottom here. Now this isn't a coplanar surface, so we're going to have a bit of a problem here. If I try to create a sketch on here, you need a planar face as support for the sketch. We can use a datum plane, or we can just use the rudimentary planes that we got, base planes. I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. I tend to use a datum plane because it's easier and quicker. Let's click the top. That's quick. Sketch. Looking down upon the XY plane, hit OK. We're going to have to do some placement of this. Or do we? Maybe alright. I would actually push this down further. Yeah, I will do. I would have to push that down further, but that's not a problem. I can go over to the model. Click on the sketch. Last sketch that was created, this one here. And change the Z. It won't be placement, it will be attachment, this one here, because it's been attached to something position. And change the Z. Bring this down like so. Doesn't matter if it touches or not, that's fine. So now that's sketched something upon here. I'm going to create a slot. And what I'm going to do is create a slot upon there, like so. And we'll do the reverse slot to loft 2. Task close. So now we've got the sketch on this side. Select the sketch and use a pad. See, the pad has taken effect there. Go 1mm pad, hit OK. Pad results in multiple solids because it's only padded down 1mm. And we'll just go to first. That's going up to the first face there. So there, and what we'll do is just hit OK. And we can adjust that. Come into the pad. I don't want the pad that width, that depth. And it's all to do with the Z placement. So we'll change the Z placement. Press Ctrl R to refresh. I'm a bit too far there. There we go. So 11mm, 9mm, 10mm there. So let's just go 9.5. So we have that attachment point, and what I want to do is loft this to basically the same but 90 degrees. So I'm going to select that face, create a sketch upon it, and do the reverse, something like that. Hit close. I'm not going to pad this. What I'm going to do is just move this out along the Z. So move this down like so. We've got that there. We'll take the face and then the new sketch. So this face is the pad there. So just click that face and come up to the loft add section. Click the sketch, hit OK. It disappears. Double click the Additive Loft, you can see what happens. Hit OK again, and now we've got a transformation between those two objects, like so. So already we've started to build up a spoiler. And we can neaten that up if we so desire by coming into the sketch and just changing this a bit. So let's bring this down a bit. There we go, close that. It will disappear again because it's been hidden. Press the space bar and there it is. So straight away you can see how easy that was. So I hope that was helpful. I hope that's answered a few questions out there regarding the Additive Loft and how to loft to a point, and also branching lofts like we've done here, and using different features in there. It's not just sketches that we can use shape binders, we can use faces from lofts, faces from pads, etc. Experiment, have fun. Hope you're enjoying the channel. I'll see you again soon. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a Ko-Fi site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.